What do a fox, a podcast crash, and a set of keys have in common? What if the key to more creativity, more confidence, and even more power was routines and repetition? In this episode of Conversations About Power, I'm talking to certified professional organizer and simplicity expert Miriam Ortiz Pino about how better routines can free up your energy for the things that really matter. Miriam shares stories, mindset shifts, and practical tips for life and work. And we even talk invisible fox experiments too. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by your to-do list or stuck in perfectionism, this conversation will help you reclaim your time and some of your power too. Hi. Another conversation about power and an exciting guest today, Miriam Ortiz Pino. Well, what an amazing name that is. All the way from New Mexico, which, by the way, happens to be one of my favorite places in the world. Miriam, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, Lynn. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're very welcome because we had a chat, didn't we? And there were some really
Mhm.
interesting things that came out of that. But I'm getting ahead of myself now because first of all, tell us a bit about who you are and what you do.
So, I am a certified professional organizer, a simplicity expert, and money breakthrough business coach. I help people with connecting organization, productivity, and money mindset so they can do their best work and live a more satisfying life. And I came to all of that through my own journey towards simplifying my life. I realized that things in modern world have gotten very complicated, and a lot of it we do to ourselves, and how to explore keeping things simple and exciting all at the same time led me down this journey. And I founded More Than Organized 25 years ago as a result of that, and have been helping others along the same path ever since.
Cool. 25 years.
Yeah, it's an exciting year for me.
So what was the moment when you suddenly realized, hey, this has got too much. I need to simplify?
Oh, good question. There were several points in my life, but mostly I'm an interesting and interested person. So I've always been involved in a lot of things. But as I needed to, actually have a job and become an adult, I realized having time to do all the things and work and have a social life made it difficult to squeeze everything in. So initially it was so I had enough time to do the things I wanted to do. What could I do to make things easier for myself on a day-to-day basis? And then I realized I didn't really like working for other people, and that was a big frustration of having to be on their schedule and not my schedule. And so that was kind of the next layer of, oh, I'm kind of unemployable now. I need to do my own thing. And starting the business about that was kind of the second layer. But my whole life, my family is not the most organized. They want it to be. And my dad is technically kind of a minimalist. So he didn't have a lot of things. So he appears more on top of things than he actually was. And my mom knew she wasn't naturally organized and spent a lot of time trying to implement systems and then abandoning them because probably she has ADHD that was undiagnosed. And so things would get set up and really nice for a while, and then they would fall apart. And then it would happen and they'd fall apart. And I just decided, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm just going to be the one that helps make it stay together. So we'd set up the system together and I would help maintain it just because I couldn't stand standing by the front door waiting for my family to go to the movies or do the fun thing. So, whatever I could do to facilitate easier days is kind of where I approached it from.
Right.
Yeah.
So you started from the perspective of time and
Yeah.
not having to wait for people is
Yeah.
the example you just mentioned. I can relate.
Yeah.
A lot of us can relate to that. I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody's waiting for us, that's one thing. But if we're waiting for somebody else, that's quite another.
Yeah.
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 So, what are things that give us some examples of things that people don't do Very
Mhm.
a couple of really simple things that people don't do that could make their life a lot easier.
Oh, having the same place you put your keys every day. I mean, something that simple. If you think about it, 5 minutes a day looking for your keys, 2 minutes a day is several days a year. In the moment, it seems like, oh, it's not that big a deal. But then when you say, oh, I don't have time to clean my garage, which only takes a day or two, and you've wasted all that time looking for your keys, it kind of starts to connect in a different way for people. So that's one. And then just recognizing all the various repetitive things we need to do in our lives and considering it different than things to do, the one off things, the things we want to do. If we set up our routines and our chores as rituals and things that make our lives easier, we don't have that resentment about, oh, I have to do all this. I can't believe I have to do the dishes again. Oh my gosh, laundry. Well, if you get to the point where you're not thinking about it, you're just doing it, you're not wasting energy on that. You are using a system and a habit that allows you to save energy for the fun stuff. And then you have more creative time and fun and energy to do that stuff. And I think it's really interesting that in the modern world, we are very into productivity and getting more done, but we count those routine things as the stuff that has to get done. I don't know if that really quite makes sense. There's this
Yeah,
little disconnect
yeah.
of it has to get done. It is the first thing that gets done so that you can do all the other things. Instead of ignoring it to the point you're overwhelmed and then you feel like you have to catch up or take a whole day to get organized before you can do the thing you want to do. I work with lots of creatives and they have so much stuff in their way and they don't think they have time to be creative because they have all this other routine stuff they need to do instead of, well, what can you do with your routine stuff that makes it more creative and therefore energizes you so when you finish it and it really only takes 5 minutes instead of the 6 hours you have blown it out to be, can you then start on your painting because it only took 5 minutes and it's out of your way now and you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, I think we spend more time complaining and avoiding work than it actually takes to do the work.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing you saying is that basically you have a choice where you want to invest your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
In do you want to invest it in doing fun stuff, or do you want to invest it in constantly thinking up new ways to do the routine stuff that needs to happen anyway, and then use up your mental, maybe emotional energy on those things that just need to
Yeah.
happen? Yeah.
Yeah. Between that and working on busy work, the
Yeah.
stuff that makes it perfect or that's expected but doesn't really move our own needle forward. If it's just busy work, does it have to happen? What's your good enough? And can you go from there? And, we all have our weird little spot, I think, that we're more perfectionists than other things. I get really into perfectionism in terms of creating the absolute minimum effective dose to get those routine things done to my lowered standards so that I can do the rest of it. So people are always like, oh, you must be so neat and tidy. And it's like, no, I'm organized. I can go weeks without dusting till I'm doing yoga one day and I notice the half inch of dust on everything. But I do vacuum and I do my dishes and I do laundry. But dusting is one thing I let go a little bit. So it's interesting. It's just figuring out your own path through it and what's important to you versus what's not without it being what's important to everybody else.
Yeah. Because if we're doing stuff to make other people happy because we think they're going to judge us, that is not a route to being happy, is it?
No, that never goes well.
Yeah.
That just leads to breakdowns, actually.
So when we were talking previously, we were talking about the fact that often as women, we have a lot to do, or we feel we have a lot to do. I'm sure you have an opinion about that, and that we can get stuck at a level where we're focusing on how can I get it all done? How can I get it all done? How can I get it all done? And you were talking about an alternative, which is to look for how can I do it better? How can I master something? And
Yes.
that is a fascinating sort of idea about a difference in ambition and vision. Can you explain a bit about your experiences with that?
Yeah, I really wish I could remember exactly when I was first exposed to this. I feel like it was in college at some point, but that desire to learn and be better. There's the be better mindset that allows us to make incremental improvements and we get exponential results. And so if you approach things you're not good at, instead of saying, I'm not good at it, I'm never going to do it, or I'm hopeless at it, you say, well, what can I do to make it better? How can I improve? How can I learn? Is there one more YouTube video I can watch? Is there one more thing? The trick is you actually have to do it. So don't get in the spin cycle of I got to learn more before I can do it. You have to be trying it while you're learning about it so that your muscle memory becomes part of it, that you know where to reach for things. You know exactly where things belong. They go in the right place. So they're accessible and there and handy when you need them. And maybe it is. I mean, it can be little things like the hook for a key, or should it be a bowl? Should it be a basket? Should it be the pocket of my purse? Where should those keys go? It doesn't actually matter. There's no right answer. There's just the best place for you to remember where it is. And there's so many things that I just came from a conference and I've been a professional organizer for 25 years. I'm certified. I'm one of the old school people. I've been to this conference like 18 times. There's not a lot that it seems like I would be learning about, but I learn something every single year because I go in thinking, I just want to learn one new thing. And so I do. And it can be something as simple as a new tool. It can be something as more in depth as a new mindset about something, or it could be meeting someone that runs their business entirely different than I do, and not me changing my business, but seeing a different perspective and how I can incorporate that into what I do. And so I think it's just always looking for little ways to be better. And that's what mastery is to me. The Kung Fu master doesn't get that way by not practicing, you know?
You have to stand by that fence and do the painting, don't you? In
Yes.
the movie, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Repetition. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wax off
Yeah.
and the painting the fence and all the things are designed to get you to understand the actual physical component of what happens now, next, and after that. What is the plan? All of that comes from actually repeating it over and over and over. You may not realize till the 35th time that, oh, if you hold the pencil just a little different, you can draw better. Or if you change the lighting just this little bit, you see the other stuff differently. Yeah, it's really minute and minutia, and yet is super powerful. And I think a place where we give away a lot of power by just giving up before we even try.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And that muscle memory, we may not even be aware that we have a thing called muscle memory because
Yeah.
we just do things. And
Mhm.
it might be as simple as you always stir a particular meal if you're cooking it in a certain way. That's muscle memory.
Yep.
It can be
I
so
think
many different things.
Yeah, I think a really good way to kind of start thinking about it is most people drive. There are a few city folk that don't. But if you drive, think about it. How do you pull out of your driveway every day? What are the 27 steps that go into entering your car and leaving your driveway that you no longer think about?
Yeah.
Do you put your seatbelt on first or adjust your mirrors? Do you turn on the radio? Do you put it in reverse? Do you have to strap kids in the car? What are your steps to get out of your driveway? And when you start inventorying that, or how do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? How do you make your sandwich? What are the steps? Pretend you're training someone else to do it the way you do it. What does that look like? And if you can become aware of that on a few things, it'll help you start applying that same principle to things you don't know how to do yet or that you think you're not good at yet.
And I know from my own experience that once you've learned something, muscles remember it for ever.
A really long time.
Yeah.
There's fascinating studies about bicycling and learning how to turn the handlebars one way or the other. And they created a bike with a differential so that when you turn this way, it would actually go that way.
Oh.
And they had people unlearn riding a bike, and then they had to go back to the actual way you ride a bike. And both times took a little practice, but returning to the first way you ever learned something was faster. So know that muscle memory is super powerful and that it is worth paying attention to. At the same time, novelty is great, but you don't want to be so novel that you never get that muscle memory and that efficiency from the routine stuff you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listening to you, I think I'm sort of obviously reflecting on my own journey. I definitely grew up thinking routines weren't creative.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely came from that place. I would try and work everything out completely from A to Z or A to Z. I try and do that every time I did something because I felt
Mm-hmm.
it kept me sharp. I do not try and do that anymore. I've stopped doing that. But that was definitely where I came from because I had this
Mm-hmm.
crazy idea that that was creativity.
And, it's only been in the last 10 or 12 years that neurologically studies prove that that is not the right approach. That not while novelty is very exciting and learning new things can be very eye-opening, the trick to managing our energy levels and our creativity and our freedom and our experience of those newer things is to make as many of the things we don't need to learn brand new every day routine and habitual. And then you are freeing up that time for more in-depth thought processes and recreations and creativity. And so it's a little bit of a paradox, but the more you can turn into routines, it comes down to I can run my entire business in 90 minutes a day and be done for the day.
Cool.
But that's because I whittled it down to the essentials. This is what has to get done. There are some days where I have to do some writing or I have to get a little more creative to solve a problem. But the 90 minutes a day is what I actually need to do the administrative tasks of running my business. That's a lot of time, depending on how many hours a day you want to work. I don't have to work that hard. I have to deliver stuff to clients. I have to work with clients, but that doesn't take as much energy for me. That's the fun part of it for me. The actual needs some energy and isn't quite fun, but can be, depending on the day, is the 90 minutes of admin details that have to be addressed.
Right. And I'm sure everybody will relate to that in some way. There's
Mm-hmm.
always something in your business that you think, oh, do I have to? Yeah. And that's where those routines really, really help. And I think I've got
Yeah.
an example of that because, reflecting on what you're saying, because I have for a while, I'm embarrassed to even say this. I think I was doing a fairly creative, the same kind of idea to my accounts, working it out each time how to do it. It's crazy. So that over the years, I started to get more organized.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've got to a point where I think I've reduced it from the quarterly account, sales tax accounts that were taking me 2 or 3 days, I think, when I started.
Yeah.
I think I've now got it to routine little things that maybe take 30 seconds a day. And
Right.
actually doing it is maybe going to take, I think I may be able to do it in an hour and a half now.
Exactly. Well, and when we create a routine around those administrative detail tasks, you get more efficient and more effective at it every time you do it. You're not recreating the wheel every time. You're not trying to reorient where did I leave off. You are paying attention more frequently. And so there's less wiggle room for problems. You are catching things quickly, especially around financial accounts. If you pay attention to your numbers every day, and
Mhm.
I'm not saying in-depth accounting and bookkeeping, I'm saying how much money came in, and are there any receipts you need to move from your wallet or your inbox into the place where they need to be? 30-second task.
Yeah.
You are much more likely to catch a wrong transaction or something that slipped through the cracks. This morning, as an example, I didn't realize, and I've been traveling, so I don't know if that was part of the problem, but I had missed an email about needing to update payment information on my domain name renewal. And this morning I woke up and my site was down. It had been down for like 10 minutes, but I was like, oh my God, because my payment didn't go through because I hadn't updated the credit card. But because money is the first thing I do every morning, I looked at my thing and I'm like, oh, it's set to renew today. I should check if it happened, and it hadn't happened. And so I could go in and, it's already back up and running. But if I hadn't have noticed that and it wasn't until Friday or something like that, it might have been down a couple days before I even noticed. And so, yeah, having something in place that allows you to do something quick that might clue you into other things that are also happening in that arena is a really good idea.
Yeah, yeah, love it. So it's all about routines. Sure, we're putting our energy into the things that we really want to do. Obviously, there are things that we have to do. We can't just decide to not do accounts or not pay taxes. So while we were talking about routine and getting things organized and repetition, the recording stopped because my computer was too full. This has not happened before, but obviously this is something I need to pay a bit more attention to in the future. So we're back, me having thrown things off the computer. Now we're just going to carry on from where we were. So actually have proof of how important this repetition is and being organized. Hey, I just provided it for you. So welcome back, Miriam.
Thanks. It is so important to routinely clean out your hard drive a little bit.
And I have been doing it increasingly often, but I just need to do something radical. I really need to do it in a big way instead of just sort of creaming off the top, which is what I've been doing recently.
It catches up to us.
It does. Right. Anyway, good to know that if you're recording and it stops, you can clean up and start again. So
Yes.
Miriam, let's move on and start talking a bit about power. So
Okay.
if I say the word power to you, what associations do you have with it?
Oh, I tend to think like superhero power first, which I know is not always where people go. Was exposed kind of in college as well about soft power versus hard power and really owning my own power in a way. And at various points in my life, it's come and gone. But right now, I tend to be feeling pretty powerful, and my sense of agency and locus of control are pretty solid. But I realize how hard it is for a lot of women to think in terms of power. So where can you capture power? It's by creating your own life, by defining your own success, by going for what you really desire. All of that is power that doesn't have to be manipulative. It doesn't have to be at the expense of other people. It can be in a way that lifts everybody up. And I think love is the most intense power there is. So why not be fierce and stand up for ourselves and our ability to love and be empathetic and lead from the heart and make that our power source instead of a manipulative at the expense of others style of power that unfortunately is showing up all over the place these days. And I think we need to just own it. When you are good at something, that is your power. Your power comes from what you are great at. Own it. That's my thought.
Right. So you started by talking about superhero. So who would your superhero be then?
Yeah, I go back and forth. I'm actually a huge fan of Green Lantern. It may or may not be because I like to think of myself as a Time Lord too, but the Lantern Corps is I'm a big fan of. Wonder Woman, just in that there is feminine power and it can look a lot differently than the male power structures. but yeah, I think there's all kinds of versions and options. And people are often surprised when asked what my superpower would be. I would love to be invisible. And it's not for the reasons people think. Women are often invisible. But for that sense of observation, that sense of fun that you could have with people by not being noticed in the moment,
Oh, yeah.
and it being like an after effect of big impact, little noticed.
I've done that as an experiment.
Yeah.
You know,
Have you?
I'm going to be invisible now and see what happens.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. People bump into you.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love that you've done that experiment. Not very many people have, but I have as well. For a long time, I thought I was an introvert, and it turns out I'm an ambivert. But there are times when I don't really want to be seen at an event or something. Usually it's a networking thing that I'm like not into. I can go invisible. I can be there. I can get the information I need and not have to do a whole lot of interaction. Other times I'm not invisible. I'm fully visible. I can make that happen too. So it's interesting though. I've been in lots of crowds. I've been in lots of like, awkward conversations and things. If you can get away from it for a second and turn on invisibility, and then the person doesn't even interrupt you again. It's very interesting.
So how do you do it? I mean, do you have like a Harry Potter invisibility cloak or how would
I
you?
do not. I have more of a Star Trek cloaking device
Uh-huh.
that just hides me. It's not a cloak, it's just more of a flip a switch and it happens. Yeah, it's a little more like Wonder Woman's invisible plane. It's my form of invisibility that it's not like I'm not there. People just don't notice me.
Yeah. I did it in a different way, whereas
Mhm.
I thought, well, what kind of animal is often there but doesn't get noticed?
Ooh, chameleon-y or
Well, I went for a fox because there are
oh,
foxes,
nice.
they're everywhere.
Oh,
But
that's beautiful.
so I
I
thought, well,
like,
how would a fox do this? How would a fox move? And yeah,
yeah, stealthily, quietly.
yeah,
Yeah,
around the edges, probably, you know,
yeah.
but yeah. So fun experiment to try at home. I can absolutely recommend it just to see what happens. And just then you can try and experiment with, okay, and now I really want to be seen.
Hmm.
And then you'll hold your body differently and you will get noticed differently as well.
Yeah, it turns out our energy, whatever you want to call it, some people call it aura, but the energy in our body, the electromagnetic energy, actually can attract or repel, and it can be turned on and off or focused in certain directions.
Mhm.
And it's really fascinating to do it like at the grocery store or in a crowded airport, or, like that's where you end up getting run into and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's really interesting waiting in line. I've been like walking towards someone on a sidewalk and just been like, this guy's going to run into me. I'm going to divert him. And you can actually cause them to be diverted around you without giving in to stepping out of their way. Yeah, it's really interesting. I wish there needs to be more scientific study about this,
We need to
but
play with this. I remember being out and I was playing with this at the time and I was feeling really good. And I thought, okay, there was a guy right on the other side of the street. He
Mhm,
was, I don't know, he must have been 20 feet away at least. And I
mhm,
thought, and he wasn't facing me.
mhm.
He was looking in another direction. And I thought, I'm going to make him turn around.
Yeah,
It's fun. It's
it really is.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Don't and people don't be afraid of it. It's
Play with it.
just
Play with it.
it's playful. It's you can always flip the switch back off
Yeah.
and they will not know why you turned around.
So, Miriam, so didn't think we were going to be going on to invisibility, and then
No.
this was not what I was expecting, which is what I love about these conversations. So, when do you feel most powerful?
Oh, I think when I am given the opportunity to share my gifts, like When someone actually hires me to come in and help them navigate their days and their systems and create an environment that allows them to do their best work, I know that's where I shine, helping people navigate their own transformations. Yeah.
And what do you enjoy about power? Well, apart from playing with,
Oh,
which we
yeah.
just talked about.
Um, I have the mischievous streak, so that's always fun. But I think actually helping the transformation, whatever that might be. So it can show up in creativity, it can show up in actual organizing or in helping people become more empowered about their money situation. All of those things just help me feel like I was a conduit for transformation. And that is really delightful to me.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you do if you want to feel more powerful? Is there some kind of ritual, something you do? Is there somewhere you go?
Yeah, I have a bunch of different rituals. I do a lot of aromatherapy and I have like power emblems. I will wear, it's interesting, I'm not wearing it today, but I have an actual amulet that I wear often, like even if it's under my stuff to feel more powerful. Like when I do speaking engagements and things, I always wear it. And I have, I do power stances if I need a little extra. I don't always, but sometimes I do. Yeah, I just and I meditate daily, so it helps me stay in my power or return to it if I have become depleted in some way. But yeah, I just consciously turn it on and off as needed throughout the day.
Yeah, and you live in a very special place as well, don't you, in terms of energy?
Yeah, I think that happens. I know where I was just in Chicago and I didn't feel it as much there, but there are places I definitely feel it and places I need to do a little extra. But yes, I am lucky enough to live in the land of enchantment where it's all around us all the time.
Yeah, it's a very special place. It was one of my favorite places where traveling around the States.
Hmm.
So just New Mexico generally, just what an amazing place.
Yeah.
Loved it. Yeah. What would you say to business owners who don't feel powerful or who shy away from power?
And why are you running your own business? I mean, I happen to be of the thought that not everyone is cut out to be a business owner.
Mhm.
But if you have the desire to be your own business owner, it is a possibility. And you just have to step into some form of power to be able to pull it off. Having said that, why are you in business if it's not your desire? Who are you doing it for?
Yeah.
And or did you default to it because something else went wrong? And can you regain power by figuring that out? I mean, there's 100 million different reasons why you might start a business, but to be in charge is probably one of them. And so step into that power first and then expand it from there. What was it that you wanted to be in charge of?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. For me, it was schedule. For other people, it's my own money or my creativity or other things. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was lots of things. It was flexibility rather than
Hmm.
time, rather, it was, okay, I want to be able to do things when I want to do them.
Hmm.
I think I felt that I'd had bosses for so long who I didn't feel had done necessarily always done a very good job of things. I mean, some great
Hmm.
bosses, some less
Yep.
great bosses.
Yeah.
And I sort of, well, I can sit here and complain about it, or I can do it.
Change my circumstance.
Yeah, exactly. Or I can do something about it.
Hmm.
And then I may still end up, you may still then end up with with a bad boss, but then you know who to complain to.
Exactly. I was not good at running my own business for a while.
Takes
I
some
had to
work.
get some help and
Yeah.
learn, but I never gave up my power. I always thought I could be better. I could master it. I needed to learn certain things I wasn't great at. Yeah.
Yeah. Muscle memory, building it up day by day. So, is there any last thing you'd like us to know, Miriam?
Oh, so many. But I would say that it doesn't have to be so hard. It can be fun, it can be creative, and incremental progress leads to exponential results. So every time you put a new system in place and you use it, anytime you develop a new habit, anytime you realize you're working on busy work and you're going to let it go, all of those things lead to success and increasing your power over your day to day. And I strongly advise you start now or tomorrow or yesterday. Let's start.
Yeah, and don't wait until you've done the washing and the washing up and all of the other stuff you need to do first. Yeah.
Right. Or if it is laundry day, do your laundry and then get on with the rest of your day.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen to podcasts when you're doing your laundry.
Oh, of course. That
Yeah.
is the best. That's what I do. Cleaning day is, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you get like 8 hours of podcasts in.
Absolutely. That's what I do.
Mhm.
Miriam, thank you so for being here today.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. This is one of the funner conversations I've had about this stuff. And I just appreciate you creating this platform, Lynn, and me on.
You're very welcome. And thank you for being such a generous guest when my systems failed me in the middle. And just so this says something about what it's like to work with you, because I didn't feel at all shamed or embarrassed or anything like that, which, I could have done.
Wow.
But
Yeah, it's life. Oh my gosh, things happen every day to every one of us. And the trick is to build that resilience and practice and move on. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so for being here today.
you're welcome.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, why not try out this episode or this one instead and find out more about how power can work for you and your business?